I understand Charlotte's a bad team. And if LaMelo wants to leave, that's cool. That's fine. But he can't act like his hands are clean. His style of play definitely contributes to the problem.
Yeah. Yes, it did.
What does that mean?
I think it means that the way he plays wasn't conducive to winning. And on top of that, he's been in and out of the lineup, so that didn't help. So you couple in bad shot taking with a guy who isn't available and pieces around him that haven't been available. I mean, it is a recipe for disaster. So, I mean, I don't think this is all on him. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that this whole thing is on him, but he definitely did contribute. And I think the biggest thing, and it's not just his style of play, it's the fact that he hasn't been available. Damo, I don't know if you noticed, but in the last 3 years, he's averaged 35 games a year. That's 2 months. That means he's missing 60% of the season. So, I mean, we can't rely on a guy that's missing that much time. We can't really build around a guy that's missing that much time. He's only played 9 games this season. So I definitely think that, he has had something to do with what's been going on. I don't think he's totally the reason why, but he's definitely has had something to do with what's going on around him.
I can 100% agree that his availability is the issue and the biggest issue. Well, the only issue is his availability, in my opinion. People who are coming at his style of play for why they aren't winning simply just don't watch the Hornets play. I'm not gonna lie to you. When he was his healthiest season, when they did have competent players around him, they were a play-in team and they looked like they could eventually be a playoff team if built right. The issue is they haven't been built right. This issue starts in the front office for me. It starts with coaching changing game plans. Now, am I all for coaches changing game plans? Absolutely fine. But when you have a star player he has a specific way he has to play the game, and it's very exciting. It can lead to winning because it gets others involved. Other players can play off of that. It just seems weird to go off of it. I'm glad Knipp was able to shine in this new offense, but at the rate of losing your best guard, your all-star guard, the best player in Hornets history? Oh, man, I don't know.
Damo, but when we talk about conducive to winning, all right, sure. LaMelo Ball, when he's playing the right way, I mean, I think it's very entertaining, and I think it is. But then he goes off the rails, one-legged jump shots, turning the basketball over as much as he does. I don't give him enough credit for being the defender that he is, but then he also chills on defense a lot. And I think that has a lot to do with his personnel. I think he's one of them dudes that'll play defense. If he had dudes around him who play defense. But on the flip side to that, he's the leader. So he should be the tone setter with doing that stuff. So there are guys who I think will defend, but they have to follow him. And I think that in some situations, him being as young as he is, not really taking that leadership role as serious, I think, as he could have, was definitely something that was the reason why. That was definitely one of the reasons why.
Let me stop you there. That the leadership qualities definitely were in questions up till this season. I will say, as someone who is 40 minutes from Charlotte, this past offseason, I don't know if it was something in the water. I don't know if Rod Wave also called him after he called Bryce Young. But for whatever reason, LaMelo Ball is nowhere near as a nuisance or as a problem off court that he was back then. I was the guy a couple seasons ago telling y'all, hey, as an insider in North Carolina, this whole team is full of degenerates. But that's when they had Terry Rozier. That's when Miles Bridges was 27 days, 27 nights. That's when it was the jail Hornets. Now LaMelo has taken the biggest leap he's taken has been maturity. He has been a lot more. He's not running over people's feet. There's no waking up in the morning saying he got another traffic citation for doing donuts outside the arena. He's not getting into any crazy degenerate behaviors that's brought up in the news that's not getting pushed out nationally. Just from what I'm seeing and just from the usual things you would hear being this close to Charlotte. So he has stepped up as leader. Hell, all the clips y'all seeing of him at the Knipples houses, chilling with the K's is what they call them. Crazy name. But chilling with the Knipples. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. That's what he calls them. He calls them K's. He calls them the little K's. His little brothers call them little K's. Again, it's steps. You got to take steps. All right.
How many brothers is it?
It's like 5 of them. Oh, 3? Oh no, three outside of Connor, outside of Khan. Yeah, okay,
it's Khan and
4.
3 other
it's
guys.
4 total. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's 4 total brothers. I think 2 of them hoop. I don't know if all of them hoop. I know 2 of them hoop.
Yeah. I just again, Damo. So understanding being a leader, being available, doing the things that's necessary in order for us to win. I mean, it's a lot on a young point guard. He's only 24 years old, but let's not act like LaMelo Ball was the one who demanded to be traded. This sounded to me like 2 people who started talking, and one of them said, "Yo, we should start seeing other people," and the other one was like, "All right, not that I want to break up, but okay, if you think that we should start seeing other people, then bet. All right, let's explore that option." And I feel like with LaMelo, he's already looking at what's going on in that Charlotte organization and why they aren't winning. And a lot of it has to do with him. And maybe a change of scenery is good for him.
I don't think he's going anywhere. But yeah, sure, I guess. I'm gonna watch LaMelo wherever he's playing. I'm gonna watch the league. I think he's fine in Charlotte. I don't have a problem with him in Charlotte. So I guess
Mars, you're a money guy. You've always been a contract and a money guy. What does a trade look like?
Numbers, yeah.
He's
on
on the books.
That, I guess
he's on the books for 4 more years on an average like $40 million a season. Now we're talking about a guy who hasn't been available the last 3 years. He's been available for, like I said, 35 games. There's been some problems with his game. He's only 24 years old, so there is some upside, right? So we may be able to get some really good years out of him, but we also run the risk of, again, he's been injured. He's still young. Are we going to get more injuries, or are we going to get better play from him? I think that's the risk we take. And what are we willing to give up if we do that with him?
Well, if the Hornets want to trade him, that's a different decision than what the report is of LaMelo's frustrated with them. I think he responded to that on Twitter with just like a clown emoji or something.
Mm-hmm.
So he's dispelling that to the best of his ability. Well, he's dispelling that in some capacity. And I'm going to believe the person they're talking about in that regard. So if LaMelo is saying those reports are untrue, then yeah, if the Hornets trade him, then yeah, go ahead and trade him. If you don't think he's viable for what you have going on in the future and he's making too much and you want to build around Con and whoever you draft next year with Colt Brenner and Sion James and them, then Brandon Miller, then go ahead and do that. But in terms of
Morris, I want to ask you though,
traded, I don't think so.
No, but I'm not even asking. Do you think that he was requested and all of that stuff, or do you think that the Hornets want to? I'm more so asking, do you think that that's in their best interest, or do you think LaMelo really is their player of the future, their point guard of the future, their franchise cornerstone?
I think it's in Charlotte's best interest to have the best player they've had stay on their franchise.
I agree.
Moving a franchise player, especially when he's young or in his prime, and I'm not going to get back what I'm giving up. That's always been the case. More times than not, when I have a franchise player like Giannis or like LaMelo, when I say a franchise player, I don't mean LaMelo and Giannis are the same level of player. No, I mean a franchise player. Like, I got a franchise point guard. What am I getting back? I'm not getting Darius Garland back for LaMelo Ball. That's not happening. I'm not getting De'Aaron Fox back for LaMelo Ball. So what am I getting back for him? And is it in my best interest to hold on to him for as long as I possibly can? Because if we're being honest, Damo, I mean, the reason why the people are in the seats has a lot to do with him.
Oh, absolutely. Let me tell you, 100%. He's box office. And I would say in terms of the business of basketball, it makes sense to not let him go anywhere. In terms of the business of being with the Charlotte Hornets is a business, they definitely shouldn't let him go. He's selling tickets. He's selling merch. He's inflating the prices of the seats. So you're not giving out free tickets to the local rec leagues to fill out the upper bowl. So yeah, for the business of basketball, absolutely, there is no movement. But if we're trying to win, hey man, I'm never banking on the guy that's showing me he's repeatedly unhealthy. And he comes from a family of people who are unhealthy, whether it's mentally or physically. So this isn't just a him thing. LiAngelo's mentally unstable. Maybe physically he's there, mentally he's not all there. But when you come from a family of people who are having health issues, I'm not gonna lie. He's the writing's on the wall. The guy is gonna average 35 to 55. 55 games that's a good year for him. And that's on the Embiid scale. If we're grading your health,
God damn, man.
Hey, and you know what you can say? Hey, I'm paying him 40 mil, but he's generating 170 mil of revenue. So he himself is making up for his contract. That again, the business wise makes up for it. But if we trying to win, hey man, there's 3 more nipples coming. Hey man, let's get all the nipples. Let's get all the nipples out here. Let's go ahead and move on from this project.
Now that's something I could get with. But my biggest thing with this whole situation, Chill, is that it's like, you guys know I'm high on LaMelo. Love LaMelo. I could overlook a little bit of the injury things, but here's my biggest thing, and I've told you guys this. LaMelo has never, ever had a competent NBA roster around him. And I believe if you put
that's not true at all, Ron.
Chill. We don't have to do this today. We legitimately the year. You're about to say the year.
Okay, which is not never, Ron. So that's the problem that we having right here. You said
name me their starting lineup that year.
It was him. It was Gordon Hayward. It was,
and you got the sharpest memory on earth. If you can't name me the starting lineup, Chill.
No, I'm remembering.
I'm going to send you to the back because this is disgusting. We don't have to do this, Chill.
I'm just thinking. This is what I'm thinking, Ron. And they were 5th in the
East. No,
I'm
thinking who is their starting lineup? Who was it?
I'm thinking it was him. It was Rozier. It was Gordon Hayward. That's all I remember.
This was 2020,
okay,
2021,
right? Gordon Hayward got hurt that year, and it was Miles.
Yeah, and and Gordon Hayward, and
Miles Bridges and Mason Plumlee were the other two.
Plumlee, that's the other one. Yep, Plumlee, and they were 5th in the East at one point. Ron, they were 5th in the East at one point.
Where did they finish though, Chill?
They missed the playoffs. Yeah,
Chill. So that's the point I'm trying to make, Chill. He's never had a good roster around him to maximize his talent, or LaMelo makes other people better, or for him to maximize their talent. Yeah. And I'm saying that to say, I believe now that they have the ingredients to really cook. Brandon Miller. I love Miles Bridges next to LaMelo. Nipple. Chill. You're high on Kalkbrenner. Colin Sexton. Sion James. Morris Guy Musa. Diabute. Trey Mann. Like they got some things now. And it might not be this year, but maybe next year, maybe in 2 years. But now they got people that they can build with. And my thing is, like, now that you actually have some good talent around LaMelo, now that you've actually done your job and drafted some good talent, now would be, to me, it would be idiotic to all of a sudden get off him now that you've finally done what you were supposed to do next to him.
He's only played 9 games, though, Ron. How many games are we going to get out of him this season?
Should have played 4.
We're already a month into the season. So if we get 9 games out of him at 9 games this far, we're already a month into the season. Am I going to get 50 games out of him this year? Like, I can't build my unit around that, Ron. I can't. And on top of that, we know how the playoffs is. We know how rough the playoffs is. And with the grind of the playoffs, is he even going to hold up? That's the $1 million question. And with his game, is it conducive to the playoffs? Because, again, we're talking about a guy who will defend, but who also won't. We're talking about an erratic point guard, but we're also talking about a point guard who does a lot of good things. He can get buckets, but he can take bad shots like Trae Young does. He does take care of the basketball, but he does turn the basketball over at a high rate too. So there's so many different things that come with him. He's only 24 years old, which I think matters. But with that being said, can we do better? That's the $1 million question. Can we do better than him right now?
So how I kind of look at it, like if I'm a contending team, I would much rather have my current point guard than trade for a guy like LaMelo. All these contending teams, you have Oklahoma, Denver, New York, the Rockets, Lakers, maybe Golden State, San Antonio. I feel like they kind of already have a point guard that they trust over LaMelo. I would honestly be, if I'm a contending team, would you rather have a LaMelo Ball type of player, or would you rather have a Lonzo type of player as your starter if you already have somebody already established on your team, right? I would say probably Lonzo because he's more of a complementary piece to your star player. So it's kind of like saying if you're Oklahoma, would you rather have Caruso on your team or would you rather have LaMelo on your ball? 99% of people are going to say Alex Caruso. Why? Because he fits more teams. He hasn't really shown us in the last 5 to 6 years, ever since he's been drafted, that he that trading for him would be a good idea. He's always injury prone, misses half the games. It doesn't really seem like he cares when he's on the court. Half the time he's just like lollygagging, fooling around, shooting step back one-legged threes, no look passes, just all this like extra stuff that really doesn't need to be there during the game. Granted, the Charlotte team is garbage, and they do need to hit a hard restart, kind of like what you guys mentioned with the Con Nipple, Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges. You could still probably be there, but like I said, LaMelo just hasn't held up his side of the bargain either. Especially in the Eastern Conference. 5-6 years into the league, he still hasn't made the playoffs, which in the Eastern Conference, it's not that hard to win 40 games. So I'm just trying to think, what team he could possibly go on
in the Eastern Conference. That's not true. Yes, it is.
I mean, it is a little bit hard, but I mean, he's had some talent around him. Like he's had a healthy Miles Bridges next to him. He's had good pieces like Gordon Hayward, back in like 2021. Like I feel like he could at least make the playoffs one time in 6 years. Like that's very doable. But yeah, I'm just trying to think of like what teams he could possibly go on. It could be the Cleveland Cavaliers if they do fail in playoffs this year. But then again, if you are going to trade for Garland, it's kind of like the same thing. You're not really going anywhere. Boston could be another one. Toronto could be one, but quickly, he's been balling out for them. Milwaukee, Ryan Rollins is looking to be their starting point guard. So it's kind of difficult to find out where he can go, where they're also contending.
Can I just ask, when it comes to his style of play, you use the word like you said like he just doesn't care, and it's things like the no look passes, the one-legged threes. Do you feel like that's all players that play that way have a sense of carelessness to their game or just don't care? So it's like I like Wemby, one-legged pull-up threes, ridiculous type of shots. Same thing with a Jokic with the no-look passes and the one-legged shots. Yeah. James Harden, Halliburton. There's plenty of players, but they're on teams that are winning. So is it excused because they're winning? And that's why it's like, oh, well, they care, obviously. They're winning. Or is it still an issue to you?
Yeah, I mean, I just think, like, I don't have the percentages pulled up on the screen right now, but I just feel like it's every shot he takes is a one-legged three. You see Tyrese Halliburton, like, here and there, maybe Jokic here and there, but it's like every three-pointer LaMelo takes is like a step back, like one-legged three. For the most part. For the most part.
That's hyperbolic.
For the most part. I don't know. He just seems like whenever he's on the court,
that's like me saying he turned the ball over every time he passes. Every time LaMelo passes, he turns the ball over.
It could be because he's on a bad team. Okay, I give him that pass. But like I said, it's been 6 years. At some point, you got to kind of show us that you can contribute to winning basketball. It just seems like he's just in it for. I'm not saying this, but it feels like that he's only going for stats out there, and he's just like playing to get a check.
So name his best team in the last 6 years. Who's his best teammate, man?
Miles Bridges. I mean, his team hasn't been good, but I mean, you can't make the playoffs one time.
You can't say that.
Who? Okay, so let me ask you
this. You gotta give the year they should have made the playoffs. You can't just say they can't make the playoffs one time. But like,
what was that? 23 Mars or 22 when the Jimmy?
So his second year in the league, they should have made the playoffs.
I'm trying to think when they were in the play-in. What year was that?
That was 21.
His first 2 years.
22, I think it was. Yeah, 22.
Oh no, it had to be 22. Yeah, it was 22. My fault.
Yeah,
22.
His first 2 years, I think they were in the play-in. One
that's
was
the
like
series
seed,
that's the same year that the Heat played the Hawks or something like that, and then Trae Young averaged like 13 points a game or something. That's the same year.
22. Yes.
Because I think the Hawks beat Charlotte, right? In the play-in, and then
in the play-in, and then they ended up.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think the only year they've been close. That's like the only one off the top of my head they've even like scratched the opportunity.
Yeah, they got demolished by Atlanta.
Yeah,
bro, they had PJ Washington listed as a 5 in 22. Yeah, man.
PJ had a low rep, a very, very low rep when he was in Charlotte.
The best player.
It's not just basketball. He had a low rep though. He also had a low rep because of people like Dom were making content about stuff, and then the coaches and stuff watch those videos and they're like, "Oh, no, we not re-signing him."
No, you're right, and you shouldn't resign him if you're out there making bad decisions like that. Absolutely, don't resign him. That's his fault. All I would say is, compared to the field of guards that he's comparable with in terms of his timeline, I would say guys like a Trae Young will be the first one I would use. Who's Trae Young's best teammate? The best teammate Trae Young's played with outside of this year, because I think you could possibly say Porzingis. Outside of Porzingis,
Jalen Johnson.
Jalen Johnson.
yeah.
DeJounte
It
Murray.
would be
What's his
DeJounte
name?
or John
John
Collins. Yeah, DeJounte or
John Collins, DeJounte, even Jalen Johnson. It is fair to say that all three of those guys are better than Miles Bridges.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he also had other
who's the fourth
NBA
player?
veterans too.
I'm gonna say, who's the fourth best player he's played? Who's another good player he's played with? Because
this year,
let's compare his teammates to Miles Bridges, and let's find out when we get to a teammate that's on the level of Miles Bridges, and then we can really sit here and say, if Clint Capella's the bar, like, come on, man, LaMelo is fighting against all odds. It's bad enough that the Charlotte team as a roster was already bad, but the front office was arguably worse than the roster. They're being led by people who are worse than the product on the court. That's been the biggest issue with Charlotte. He came up in a system where they valued going out to get jewelry. Like that was a big thing for the jail Hornets. Like go look, do the knowledge. Brandon Miller's rookie year, he had Terry Rozier throwing him in rap videos, hooking him up with jewelers. Like Brandon Miller was wearing a Hornets Nike Tech, and he out there got them. Yeah, somebody got the boys back there, but they got them trying to get $100,000 chains instead of putting shots up. Like this is the culture of the team, and he was a rookie, sophomore, third-year player. Like they're not being led the right way. I don't expect him to do anything with this team.
Yeah, I just don't know the year they were meant to make the playoffs. That's it.
Swiper, haven't heard too much from you on this topic. How do you feel about LaMelo? How do you feel about the Hornets? Are there any locations you would like to see him at? Do you think that his play just isn't conducive to winning? What is your overall thoughts?
They really quickly, Swiper. They took James Bouknight and passed on Sengun. I'm gonna fight somebody, Damo. I don't know who I'm gonna fight.
And Bouknight was tough at UConn.
And we're glad here that we have
UConn had a
Sengun
bomb
on the
squad.
Rockets.
What was Shingun drafted?
16.
He was drafted like
16.
15.
That's
something
not
like that.
that's not a
16.
miss. That's just you didn't expect a guy
They
from
didn't do their
2KA
job, man.
from
They
2KA
didn't do their
to be
That's
that
it right
good.
there, Damo. They didn't do their homework.
Y'all got to stop excusing these teams for not scouting.
Yeah,
right,
they
bro.
didn't
I'm
do their
sorry.
homework,
They're
For
not doing their
taking
job.
for not taking Alperen Sengun from 2KA at 16 overall. I mean,
Yes,
he got
do
passed
your
on
job.
15
It's
your job
times.
to scout.
No, I hear you, but like I'm saying, like that's like a little tough, bro. Like
It's
respectfully,
not
like
tough. It's
yeah.
not tough.
Would
Respectfully,
you
it's
so
not
you would
tough.
you saw
the
Shingun?
MVP.
You saw Shingun? I didn't know Shingun.
Yes.
I didn't know
When
Shingun.
say yes,
MVP of the Turkish league. I would hope NBA franchises.
And he was
aware.
17 when he did it.
I mean, but I've got some misses on my draft resume. Respectfully, I got some hits.
Sure, I mean,
but I've got some misses.
everyone has misses.
Yeah, yeah,
Everyone
I've got
has
some
misses.
misses.
That's not a
you
question.
got more hits than misses, Swiper,
No.
and that's the problem. There you go.
Well, I'm saying if I had to do
That's
wait, to be
okay,
fair,
that's what
if
you
I had to do 2 rounds every year for the last 15 years,
I
probably
would
more.
have so many hits. I would have so many hits.
Yeah, I definitely know Marius. You know who I would have got? I would have got Andrew Nembhard in 2022. Absolutely, never would have slipped my mind.
One thing I know me and Domo agreed on, because this was back in open gym times, that Tidjane Salaün pick is one of the worst picks of all
Yeah,
time.
that was a horrible pick.
What were you looking at? Like we said it then. What are they seeing that we're not? Oh, they're
Yeah,
not
we
doing
was-
their jobs.
We
Like,
was
and this
very
is
passionately against that one.
Yeah,
They passed on Trey Murphy too, and they passed on Jalen Johnson.
I'm gonna give him a
Forget who?
slide
What
on the
pick? What
Tidjane though, because they hit the draft
James
before that,
Bouknight.
and they just hit this last draft. So like Tidjane, typical Hornets, but you get Brandon Miller the year before that, and then you come back this last year and clean up with 3
Khan.
first-round
Yeah,
picks.
Khan is a dog. Now you want to talk about
Yeah,
somebody
this
that's
year
like-
I'm really happy with their draft.
Yeah.
I think they had a really good draft this year.
just because they drafted good this year does not excuse them for being
Khan. Now think about this, Damo. They should get more credit from not from getting Khan than passing on Alperen.
keep
You know why?
talking
Because
about
Khan looks like he works for the IRS, and they still saw a hooper in there. So I'm telling you, bro, like that's
You're
tough.
gonna hate my answer. You're gonna hate my answer. That's nothing but the Austin Reeves effect, man. I'm not mad at them for trying to find their next Reeves. Like, what we
He's better.
talking
He's
about?
better than Reeves was when he walked in the league. What are you talking about?
Actually,
He is better than what Reeves was. No, yes, he is.
He better than Reeves at 19.
100%.
Reeves at Oklahoma was better than
Was a
Khan,
dog.
too.
Reeves Oklahoma was cool, and then he was a free agent pickup. He had a triple double to end the season off in
It wasn't no
2022.
cool. It wasn't no cool.
No, he was cool. He was cool.
No,
He was
it wasn't no
cool.
cool about it. Reeves at
But
Oklahoma
Khan,
was
hey,
better
but
than Khan that dude.
look.
Yeah, but Reeves at Oklahoma was already.
Hey, but Reeves is cool. But like, if we're doing motion, white boy motion, Reeves Con. Reeves down here. Con's right here.
They were calling him Hillbilly Kobe in college.
That's cool. I know. I remember.
Don't tell me about Aura. Like AR, I'm saying this as a person that's been a fan.
They were calling him Big Nip. They were calling Con Big Nip. Now,
maybe it's a bit of bias on my end because I've been seeing Austin Reeves since he was a rookie, and I've believed in him since day one. So that's just maybe a little bit biased on my end. I can admit that. I can admit that. I'm going back and looking. I don't care if they would have drafted Michael Jeffrey Jordan this past offseason in the draft, passing up on Buzelis to get Tidjane Salaün is idiotic on every facet of the word of idiotic. There is no, well, they drafted good before and after, so it makes up for it. No, because you could have just had Buzelis with those 2 picks that y'all are happy about. So again, this is an incompetent team.
And y'all dudes up here talking about Kalknippel. Kalkbrenner is the prize. What are y'all doing?
What?
I agree.
What?
Prize in that,
I agree.
The prize.
Yes. Kalkbrenner is the
He's not the prize. The prize is the best player.
Kalknippel has been like that best player.
Yeah, Con's been better than LaMelo if you want to have a real discussion. We have an actual discussions. So, like, Con has absolutely been their best get. That's not even a question.
The guy that was pick 4 is playing like a top 4 pick. Meanwhile, the guy that you drafted in the 2nd round is playing like a top 10 pick, in my opinion, immediately. I think that is the prize. I think that is a prize. Maybe not say the prize. That is a huge prize, in my opinion.
That's why I think they're the winners of the draft.
Yeah, they're the winners of the draft.
And CM James been cool too. So
I just, before I'm so rudely interrupted by Chill again, when I was asked a direct question, mind you, Chill. Yeah, all right.
I'm sorry, my fault.
Swiping. That's why you boxing him when you see him. See?
No, I'm not boxing him. I'm gonna stick you on him so you can get your get back.
Okay, first of all, this doesn't happen on a regular, so I apologize.
So all I'm saying, I just don't think LaMelo's that good, y'all. Now, I think he can be good. I think there's a world where he gets better. I think he's not been aided by a good coaching situation. Now, Damo, I will say, I think they had the biggest coaching misstep that I've seen in quite some time when they fired, what's his name, Mars? They fired old boy. Huh? Clifford. And then brought somebody else, and then brought Clifford back. Then they remember the Office snip, snap. That's exactly what they did with their head coaching situation. That was a really, 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 really bad situation that I think he's been in. But I also just think, Damo, like at some point too, I'm looking at his numbers, like you also just need to play better. It's a mix of both. Like, I don't think he plays a very good style of basketball. I think that he's mad inefficient. I think that he obviously like is a really good passer, playmaker. He's a highlight kid, but in terms of like actual like winning production and all that, yet he's not doing it. But I also think that could be also a notion of his coaching. But now the question is, Damo, can he be coached out of a lot of those bad habits and bad shots? Because that's what the Hawks were betting on with Trae Young when they got a Quinn Snyder, but they don't feel like that he's taking that step in development in his play style either. No. But I'm saying, but this is an actual behind the scenes conversation of what happens with players like this. Trae's going through it right now. I'm saying that I think the next step for LaMelo is to have a coach that puts a better situation around him, and I think tries to get him to play more disciplined basketball, and then put better teammates around him. But I also don't know where that is. I feel like the Miami Heat would be great for LaMelo Ball, but I mean, is Spo
swipe on this?
Is Spo and Pat Riley
multiple times? I agree with you.
Go ahead. You can't just all of a sudden. You are who you are, right? And I don't want to say it that way, but it's just like you can't just all of a sudden be able to do whatever you want, and then just think a kid's going to just accept discipline and accept to be this structure. You know what I'm saying? So I was this morning dropping off my kids. I'm listening to Frank Isola and Scalabrine, and they're talking about LaMelo Ball. They were talking about him for a while, and Frank Isola basically is like, if he was on a better team, all the injury stuff would be more to light. And Scal's pretty much talking about the fact that he's there to sell jerseys and sell tickets because the kids love him. Mm-hmm. But then they also are like, these kids are idiots. That's why they love him. Because it's like you got a guy like Tyrese Maxey who people aren't really so high on, but then how could you Well, I mean, yeah.
Well, I think the general public, yeah.
You're not a kid, Ron.
You're my kids, Ron.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But that's the thing. So they're pretty much what they're, just to wrap it up, the point is that they're saying this is LaMelo Ball is a guy that's thriving off the capitalism of professional sports, where it's like he's not as productive as you would like a guy like him to be. You know what I mean? It's just the fact that nowadays it's like we need to get people in the seats, we need to get people on their couch, we need to get people watching basketball, and that's what he can do. Rather, he's as good as advertised or not. And I think that's a fair point.
And Ox, because of that, his play style and the stuff we're talking about right now, I don't know if he ever gets to Tyrese Maxey's level. I really don't. But like John, you're making that face. Tyrese is a extremely disciplined player, works extremely hard. Again, I'm not moving on to Tyrese, Ron. All I'm saying is that if I'm watching LaMelo play, even the way he processes through what he's doing, there's just a gap. By this point in time in his career, he's underdeveloped. Now, if you can say that's because of the coaching around him, then that's fair. But I also don't know what gets him out of that in the next situation. Hold on, Damo. Because think about this, Damo. I'm asking legitimate questions. If he played for the Minnesota Timberwolves with Chris Finch, he would have to change the way he plays. If he played with Pat Riley and Spo, he would have to change the way he played. No, he would. You cannot play that way and take the same kind of shot quality, have the same shot diet, also be as turnover prone as you are in those kind of situations with those coaches. They won't let you do that. Like that. That's the whole point.
Damo, what's the gap between? Damo, what's the gap between?
Let me just say one.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Between him and Maxey, I was just about to say that. Yeah. The gap between him, it's not that far to me. It's not that big of a gap. It's just about opportunity of the level of players around him. If LaMelo's name was Laminko Olovich and his dad,
that's a lie. Another lie.
He wouldn't play like that if he was a bitch. If he was a bitch, he wouldn't play like that.
I didn't interrupt nobody.
You didn't interrupt anybody, but still,
it's still a fact.
If he was a bitch, he wouldn't play like that. This is why American basketball is dying.
Right? If his name was Laminko,
this is why it's dying. Right here.
If his name was Laminko Bolovich and his dad was LeVar and he had Khabib's dad, he can still have this play style. Everyone would just accept it and then be like, what is the team doing to put good players around him? We had this same conversation on this very same platform about would Wemby be allowed to come and do what he did and all these highlights we see? Are they really going to allow a 7'5" center to just get the ball, bring it up the court?
I wasn't here that day.
The people that were saying it are up here. Are they going to hezzy tween, step back? Are they going to be allowed to do that? I can be man enough to say I was a person that believed because the American game is the way it is, he was going to get reined in. He was going to have to play a more traditional 5 role, more rim running. He wasn't going to be allowed to do those things. And guess what? Surprise, surprise, Wemby's allowed to do those things. Why? Because that is his game. And they seen if you put players around him, you can still win. The same thing with Luka. Luka's game, which is still certain people will still be super hard on Luka and critique it. That's fine. But I'm talking about at the time of him being a young rookie. When he was a rookie, everyone said, matter of fact, everyone didn't say, I don't remember everyone trying to talk about him, how they're talking about Melo, him being a highlight machine.
Much better. He's much better.
As a rookie?
Luka compared to LaMelo, it's not.
I'm talking about the style of play as rookies.
To be fair, Luka was just a better player.
His style of play is still better.
I'm not talking about the production of the style of play. I'm simply just saying the style of play. And as a young guy, as a prospect, his level of production was not too far off from what LaMelo was able to do at the same age.
They play the same, Damo.
They still have a very, very highlight-heavy game. Yes, they do.
Highlights are that'll anybody.
But you don't know Luka highlight player.
Al Jefferson. No, because he's not a highlight. He's not a highlight player. He's not a highlight player. The issue isn't that he's a bitch. The issue is that he's better. You can get highlights and play different. Al Jefferson got highlights. What I'm saying is that Luka Doncic has been better every step of the way than LaMelo Ball. And to bring up Victor Wembanyama, a guy who actually changed his game a little bit from this year to last year, I think is disingenuous because both of these dudes we're talking about are way better than LaMelo Ball.
Listen. I love having basketball conversations where people wait to talk and don't listen to what you're saying.
Me too.
That's very productive for talking basketball.
I'm not arguing. I'm not
saying he's better than Luka. I'm not saying he's better than Luka. I'm not saying he's better than Wemby. I'm saying as prospects, as young guys, the way that they're playing was not something that was widely accepted to people like you, Ox. That style of play that they have as young guys is not acceptable. The thing I'm saying, they were quick to label LaMelo Ball as a highlight player like Swiper just did. They say he's a highlight guy. He's not a guy built for winning.
I don't think I brought that up first, by the way.
You said it. You were the first person to call him a highlight guy today.
I think that
was actually Ox. I think we were talking about the kids and the highlights and all that stuff.
In your point, you had just said highlight guy. I'm just
sure.
I'll take no one was quick to call Wemby and Luka highlight guys.
Wemby wasn't a highlight guy, though, brother. I didn't say that.
That's his point. But that's Damo's point.
But that's not. But to me, that's not a good point because Wemby wasn't that kind of player. To me, I'm saying, well, out of the draft, the first notion
100% that kind of player.
But the first notion, Chilltown Hoops, about Victor Wembanyama was the same thing that we said about Anthony Davis out of 12. He might be a good offensive player, but the thing he is going to be coming into the league is a generational defensive prospect. That was the first start. That was the first step of the Wemby talks. And then when Wemby started playing NBA basketball, he had offensive chops. And then he built on that. He's like, oh, he's actually a really good offensive player. Now, what I'm saying is that, like, when we first get the notion of Wemby, his draft profile was centered around a super freak athlete, 7'5" or whatever he was. He had skill. He could handle the rock and all that. But he's going to be a generational defender, maybe the best defender we've ever seen going into the draft. I'm saying LaMelo was first known as, I don't know, like, who's a draft person at the time up here? Like, you know, a high volume. Go ahead, Damo. We can't hear you. Muted. You're muted, Damo.
My fault. LaMelo's entire draft hype and everything was genuinely everyone criticizing him and not believing in him because of the narrative around that last name. That's genuinely what it was. It was because of his last name and who his dad was. People will pull up anything they wanted to try to negatively impact.
What?
You don't remember the hate Lonzo had coming into the league? Yes, LeVar did a great job. LeVar did a great. Nobody hate. You know what? That's cool.
That's not true.
I'm talking about up here. I'm not. Hold on, Ron, because I'm not talking about what other people say. I don't care about what other people say. I'm talking about up here on this platform. Lonzo, you can't say just the narrative around this game. Lonzo came in. Lonzo's a good basketball player. He plays good basketball. He plays good basketball, so it's not like.
That's not what Damo's saying. That's not what Damo is saying at all.
It's the player choice way. Yeah, them boys don't get it started. The player choice way. Yeah, the player choice way. Come and switch lanes into the player choice way.